If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. What's going on, Knuckleheads? Thank you so much for joining the chat this evening. It is November 30th, 2019. Again, if you didn't tune in yesterday, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I appreciate you guys joining. Looks like Calculated Risk is already in here saying, how are you doing, Fighters Rep? I'm doing well, brother. How are you? I appreciate you tuning in. I was hoping to get Regis Prograis in the chat, but I'm having a little bit of difficulty reaching him, so we're just going to go ahead and get into this Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz fight. It's a juicy one. It's something I'm really excited about. And, if Regis is able to reach out to us, who knows, maybe something happened or he's busy doing something. But if he's able to reach out to us between now and the time we finish the chat, we'll definitely get it on to get his thoughts. But appreciate you guys joining. John Wick, I see you, brother. Thank you for joining. It's much appreciated. So, Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr., probably the most exciting fight between now and the end of the year. The only one that can kind of hold a candle to it is going to be Gervonta Tank Davis versus Yuriorkis Gamboa. And we were able to get Stacy McKinley, who's Gamboa's trainer. We were able to get him on the show a couple days ago. If you didn't check out that interview and discussion, definitely check it out. It was very insightful. But this fight, this Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. fight, the rematch from Saudi Arabia is just so juicy. It's so juicy. It's like a T-bone steak to a starved man who's been working all day long. And definitely a fight I'm really looking forward to. Man, the heavyweight division is the best it's been in a very long time. And I think if you're a fan of heavyweights the way I am, and if you're a fan of the fight game, this is an absolutely can't-miss, must-see fight between two guys that are just absolutely fantastic at what they do. We're going to, real quick, go through the tail of the tape and then kind of discuss what we think each guy needs to do to win this fight. And then at the end of it, I'll give you my prediction. If you guys have been on the channel before, I'm sure you guys know what my prediction is. But, we'll do the prediction, then I'll hear from you guys. I've got John Wick in the chat right now. By the way, I'm laughing right now at John Wick in the chat because he actually had a bet with another one of our viewers, Domo 5K, and lost the bet on a fight. And Domo 5K has been missing in action, so we're about to put Domo 5K on the back of a milk carton to see where he is since losing his bet to John Wick. But I doubt we're going to be able to find him. I do hope he comes back to the chat at least. Maybe I can mediate the bet that he lost if he's embarrassed to give up the money. But we'll see what happens. So first and foremost, Anthony Joshua, 23 fights. He's 22-1. 21 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Very, very impressive. Cheers, by the way, guys. As we all know, a gold medalist in the super heavyweight division representing England in 2012. A silver medalist at the World Championships in Baku, Azerbaijan, also in the super heavyweight division in 2011. Great Britain champion in 2010, won the gold there at super heavyweight, and the English national champion in London and Colchester, respectively, in 2010 and 2011, also at super heavyweight. He's got a massive 82-inch reach, and he's 6 foot 6 inches tall and an absolute Adonis. I see D-Boy65 in the chat in Jamaican Boxing. Thank you guys for joining. Couldn't do this without you guys. I see I see your Jamaican sports TV. I love it, my man. I love it. I'm wondering what you're going to be doing with that. But let's real quick move on. And before we move on, that one loss on Anthony Joshua's record is, of course, to Andy Ruiz Jr., who he's going to be fighting in this rematch. Now, Andy Ruiz is listed at 6 foot 2 inches tall, but something tells me that that's exaggerated. I really don't look at Ortiz and see a guy that's 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he's also listed with a 74-inch reach, which is staggering when you compare it to Anthony Joshua's. He's 34-1. 30 out of the 33 wins, 22 coming by way of knockout, and one of those was against Anthony Joshua in their last fight. And, both orthodox fighters. And it should be a fun one. Now, the one loss on Andy Ruiz's record, which I definitely think should have an asterisk next to it, is the loss to Joseph Parker, a guy who lost to Anthony Joshua. Now, I really don't think that Andy Ruiz lost that fight to Joseph Parker. So a lot of people, such as myself, believe that Andy Ruiz is a true undefeated fighter. I think he came away with a split decision loss against Parker in Parker's native New Zealand. So, to go into somebody's house and to, come away with a split decision is, as Roy Jones said, you probably won that fight. You know what I mean? So I'm going to leave it at that. But Andy Ruiz, basically an undefeated fighter. And the only time I've ever seen him hurt was against Anthony Joshua in their last fight when he got dropped. And I'm not even sure he was hurt. So, that's that. And before I move on, Whiskey Dragonfly, I got some of your lifeblood in here, brother. So cheers and thank you for joining the chat. And Calculated Risk is mentioning Andres Gutierrez missing weight by 11 pounds today, who was supposed to be fighting Oscar Valdez. Just absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. But again, let's get back to the topic at hand. There's always a lot to talk about. So, the things that stick out the most are Anthony Joshua's height, if you believe that that's an advantage, which I'm kind of on the fence on. I'm always on the fence about height. But as far as reach, I definitely think reach is a huge advantage. I do think height can be an advantage, but it can also be a disadvantage, especially when you're going up against a guy like Andy Ruiz, who utilizes that Mexican style and puts so much pressure up against the guys he's fighting. So it's definitely not always the best thing to be the taller guy when you got a shorter guy with really fast hands constantly rushing in on you, and you kind of got to squat down and bend over and fight the guy off. It's just, I don't know. It's having sparred before, it makes me very uncomfortable when I'm in there sometimes with shorter guys. And so I think Anthony Joshua hasn't really seen a guy like Andy Ruiz who can move like Andy Ruiz at his size. I think it makes him uncomfortable. And so I wouldn't really call Anthony Joshua's height advantage that much of an advantage. I think it can work both ways depending on your style and your approach to the fight. As far as this fight goes, I've been telling you guys what I think each guy needs to do, and I think it's obvious. I don't think I need to tell you guys here. Andy Ruiz is a man whose wheelhouse is absolutely on the inside. Absolutely on the inside. This is not a guy who is going to be fighting Anthony Joshua at long range. That's not his game. That's not his forte. He can box his ass off, don't get me wrong. He might be able to slip and land some jabs and do some work on the outside. But I think his mission in this fight, in order to win this fight, is to move in, crowd Anthony Joshua, go after him and go after the body Mexican style and break the head. Once the body begins to crumble, break that head. And that's what they do over there at Legends Boxing. I've been to Legends Boxing a couple of times. I have had the honor and the pleasure of interviewing Manny Robles, who's Andy Ruiz's coach. And I have seen him in action. And this is a very, very serious, humble, and polite, and a man with a good sense of humor, but a very serious man about his craft. And you can see it in the way that he's transformed Andy Ruiz's career, who was basically on the verge, probably, of giving up, according to Andy Ruiz and according to Manny Robles. Andy Ruiz would have probably given up boxing, potentially, had it not been for a guy like Manny Robles to come in and revitalize his career, and had he not had this opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. So, but back to the issue at hand. We kind of go off on a tangent sometimes. Andy Ruiz is going to have to crowd Joshua and fight him Mexican style. That means move in, stay low, keep moving at the waist. He moves at the waist, fantastically in order to avoid that jab from Anthony Joshua, and go to that body and go to that head and mix it up and throw those combinations. He throws some of the fastest, I wouldn't say some of, he throws the fastest combinations and has the fastest hands of pretty much any heavyweight that I've seen. So I think he definitely needs to throw those combinations on the inside, get on the inside, and continue to pressure Joshua and force him to walk backwards and to the side. Let's see here. The Thunderstorm MMA says, what it do, George? Hope all is well. Good to see you. Good to see you too, brother. Appreciate you being on here. So, I think Andy Ruiz, like he did last time, is going to have to win this fight on the inside. And I think that is his fighting style. That's his bread and butter. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is going to have to keep this fight long if he wants to win this fight. He's going to have to keep this fight long. He absolutely cannot afford to get on the inside against Andy Ruiz Jr. If he knocks down Andy Ruiz Jr. or hurts Andy Ruiz Jr., he's got to be strategic. He can't go in like he did last time. He can't just rush in and close the distance like he did last time, because I feel that was the reason that Anthony Joshua lost the fight. He got ahead of himself, and he rushed in, and he shouldn't have, because he was having success from the outside. And as soon as he got in there, got on the inside and started trying to trade with Andy Ruiz Jr., who has faster hands than him, he got clipped. And that is how the fight ended. The fight, of course, continued on until the 7th round or whatever it was. It was in the 3rd round that Andy clipped him. But that's what happened. Anthony Joshua thought he was going to win that fight, finish Andy Ruiz, and, he rushed in. And he shouldn't have done that. He went right into Andy Ruiz's wheelhouse. That is where the man is strongest at. So you should have stayed on the outside. Now, I think Anthony Joshua is going to have to do that again. He's going to have to box from the outside. He's going to have to be on his bike. He's going to have to be on this bike throughout this fight, because if they get into an up-close exchange where they got to trade leather, and the Andy Ruiz Jr. is going to get the better of that exchange 9 times out of 10. And Andy Ruiz Jr. will bomb him out of there if he gets into that firefight with Andy Ruiz Jr. So that's how I think these guys are going to win the fight, or what they're going to have to do in order to win the fight. If you ask me, I was greatly favoring Anthony Joshua in order to win this fight. And I've been saying that for weeks. I've been saying I think Anthony Joshua wins the rematch, because I don't think he would have lost had he stayed on the outside. I think he made a mistake, and I do believe he can adjust. That being said, the more I watch the fight, the more I analyze what happened, the more I start to lean towards Andy Ruiz. But that said, I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. I'm going to say it's a 55% chance that Anthony Joshua wins this fight, 45% chance Andy Ruiz wins this fight. And I'm going to make my prediction a decision win for Anthony Joshua. That's what I think is going to happen. Of course, the other side of the coin is that Andy Ruiz wins this again by knockout. But I do think Anthony Joshua wins this fight by decision. So, guys, I got to run and do something real quick. I'll be right back. In the meantime, I'm going to ask that you guys discuss amongst yourself, but we're going to come back and I'm going to read your comments and, give you guys my thoughts. All right, guys, so I'm back. I apologize for that. With all the stuff going on and the holidays and having to redecorate, I've been dealing with a lot at the house right now. But let's get to it. I appreciate you guys being in the chat. I appreciate your comments. Let's see here. So, I'm doing well. Appreciate everybody saying how are you doing and everything like that. Thank you for joining the chat. Calculated Risk says, did you watch Casemiro versus Tete? I didn't get the chance to watch it. Feel free to let me know what happened there. I didn't get the chance to see that fight. Let me see. D-Boy65 says he's got $1,000 on Ruiz. John Wick Jr. also says Ruiz Jr. with exclamation marks after Calculated Risk asks him who he's got between AJ and Ruiz. It looks like a lot of you guys have Ruiz winning this rematch. I'd like to know your reasoning. I would like to know your reasoning because I disagree with it, but because or that I think it's bad. It's just I'd like to know what you guys see in Andy Ruiz. I'm always interested in seeing, what people think from an analytical standpoint as to why a guy is going to win or lose. Let's see here. All right. So King Dale Clark says, Fighters Rep, what's up, brother? What's up, King Dale Clark? Thank you for joining the chat, brother. Hey, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. We do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Then we do this immediately after all the big fights. We did it today, Saturday at 7, because we were thinking we were going to get Regis Prograis for an interview on here, but I'm just unable to reach him at this time for whatever reason. So if he ends up hitting us up during this chat, we'll get the champ on the chat. Let's see here. So King Dale Clark says, who do you think wins, Josh or Ruiz too? I think repeat, but in Saudi Arabia, if it goes to the cards, Joshua will get the win anyway, probably. That is part of my reason why I think Joshua will win, because it is, again, a Matchroom promoted fight. It's Eddie Hearn. Joshua's Eddie Hearn's fighter. And it's going down in Saudi Arabia because those Saudis probably paid Eddie Hearn to make it happen there. He's the promoter at the end of the day, so he made that decision. So I do think that it can be an extremely dangerous situation for Andy Ruiz Jr. if it goes to the scorecards. But, we're going to have to wait and see. Calculated Risk says, to be honest, AJ did it good behind the jab last time until he rushed in and got caught by Andy. That is what I'm seeing. That is what I'm seeing. Jamaican Sports TV with the donation. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate your donations. As you know, anything you guys donate to the channel gets invested right back into the channel or into Fighters Rep Promotions. We're the only pro kickboxing promotion in the whole state of California, one of the few in the United States. It's a shame. I'm trying to build an amazing promotion here in order for the fighters to compete, so they have another avenue besides just MMA or boxing or some of the weak Muay Thai shows that we're seeing, because there are not a lot of good ones. I'm trying to build something special, so when you guys donate or buy your Fighters Rep gear in the links below, or click the Amazon affiliate link in the gear below and buy something, those are all donations that come to the promotion. I reinvest them back in. With your help, I hope to one day build the greatest promotion on earth, and I appreciate you guys. And to continue building this channel, so I thank you guys very much. And Jamaican Boxing, you have been, as you can see in the event list here, he's been one of the most generous people ever. So we couldn't do it without you, Jamaican Boxing. We thank you very much. And you're always welcome to the fights, brother. You know this. So let's see here. Whiskey Dragonfly says, peace, fam. Is Oscar Valdez live or on replay? I'm not sure. I haven't checked in to that fight. If one of you can Google it and let me know. I just haven't looked at the Valdez fight. The last thing I saw was that they were replacing Gutierrez with Andy Lopez, I believe was his name, because he missed weight by a ridiculous 11 pounds. So let me know what's going to happen there. Jamaican Sports TV says, I honestly believe Ruiz is going to stop AJ again in a more exciting fight. I'm predicting a 10th round stoppage this time. And I don't think that's a bad prediction. I think that there's a real chance that happens. 55-45 right now. I'm leaning towards AJ. Today I felt like I was finding myself starting to lean towards Andy Ruiz after I watched the first fight again and analyzed it. But I said, you know what? Let me just stick to my instinct. Let me stick to my guns, because whenever I switch up, after listening to my instinct, after listening to my gut, I get it wrong. So I'm gonna have to go with AJ. But again, very, very strong possibility Andy Ruiz goes in there and finishes the job like he's always done, like he did last time. Calculated risk. Let's see here. Calculated risk says AJ shouldn't rush for the finish. He always gets caught rushing in for the finish. Well, I mean, besides the Ruiz fight, I can't really think of another instance where he got caught rushing in for the finish. But yeah, he needs to stay on the outside. I'm with you, Calculated Risk. He needs to stay on the outside. And Calculated Risk doesn't think that these guys go the distance, I think if they go the distance, man, this is going to be a rough fight on both guys, because these guys can punch. So I'm really excited about it, though. I'm really excited about it, and I really can't wait to watch it and get on here and discuss this with you guys, because, man, that's the most exciting fight, especially in the heavyweight division, that I think we're going to see all year, and I'm really pumped about it. John Wick says, I think this fight goes to the late rounds and Andy Ruiz will knock Joshua out in later rounds, but it could go either way, honestly. So John Wick feels the same exact way that Jamaican Sports TV does. Calculated Risk says, I agree. John Wick says, smash the like button on your way in, peeps. Much appreciated, John Wick. Thank you, brother. Hey, you guys, please hit that like button. It helps. Especially if you're watching on the replay, like, share, comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's much appreciated. John Wick says, Ruiz is a really good counterpuncher and he is very fast on the inside. Still, he will slide on the jab and beat Joshua to the punch. Very, very likely and very possible. But I just feel like Joshua, if he stays on the outside and fights smart, can win this fight. The Thunderstorm MMA says it's Rich Karsten, by the way, a.k.a. I Killed the Beast. Rich, thanks for joining the chat, brother. I remember you very well. I remember announcing your fight back when I was announcing before I had my own promotion. And I do hope that, you find yourself a fight soon. Calculated Risk says, keep an eye on AJ's left hook. That was the one that dropped Ruiz. Ginger Giant says, Carl Frampton KO tonight. We'll see. Whiskey Dragonfly say AJ needs double and triple jabs to open up Ruiz's body. We never seen that before from AJ's arsenal. Ruiz wins 12 rounds. Man, am I the only one that thinks AJ's gonna win here? Am I the only one? Man, I'm the only one. You guys are gonna shit on me when it comes to Saturday. Calculator Risk says, did AJ get KO again in camp sparring? He doesn't look fresh. Concussive effect, and Andy looks fresh. That I'm not sure. John Wick says, I don't think Joshua has the power to hurt Ruiz Jr. Yes, he can knock him down, but hurt him, no. That's interesting. I think Joshua can hurt Ruiz. I do think he can. But, we'll see what happens. Let's see. Yeah, so John Wick says stupid internet. No. Something's going on with John Wick's internet. Calculator Risk says, I'm not sure about AJ's legs. He looks shaky. And then the Thunderstorm MMA says, I challenged John Wick to a shoot-off. Oh, wow. Okay. Calculator Risk says, do you think if Andy wins this fight, they're going to unify with Deontay? I don't see why not. But who knows, Who knows? Since both guys are technically with Al Heyman, I think that that's an easy unification bout to make. But, I don't know if that fight will happen. You guys already know the way boxing works. It is not the UFC at all, in that the best guys typically don't fight the best guys. So if that happens, it might be down the line. I think that if Anthony Joshua wins, he's probably going to have to give Andy Ruiz that rubber match. Otherwise, he's not going to have respect from anybody. But it's also going to depend on the fashion that he wins in, if he even wins. So that's something we have to consider. John Wick says, Deontay Wilder beats Fury, then he unifies belts. Well, that's another big if. I mean, can Deontay Wilder beat Tyson Fury? That's another big if. Calculated Risk says, I want to see unification at heavyweight fight, to be honest. I think me, you, and everybody else wants that, Calculated Risk. The Thunderstorm MMA says, George, how can I win a ticket to the next Fighters Rep event? Richard, I work very hard for these events. I spend my own money on these events. I have a couple of sponsors that help, but definitely not enough to pay for these very expensive events that I put together on my own, other than with a little help from some of the people on this channel. And so I would ask that you pay the $40 for a ticket. If we do have a giveaway, it will be announced on our social media. Sometimes we do ticket giveaways, but I do ask that you support and buy a ticket. That would be greatly appreciated, especially if you want to help me grow the sport. Calculated Risk says, I think Wilder's a bad matchup for Andy. And Andy is also a bad matchup for Wilder, if you really think about it, because he will come after Wilder. And if he smothers that right hand and doesn't allow Wilder to get that distance on him, then it could be a very troubling fight for Wilder. Of course, as he wades into the inside to fight Wilder, he's in danger of getting hit with that right hand. But, would it be enough to stop Andy Ruiz? We've seen Wilder hurt people, but at the elite level, at the top of the heavyweight division, does that punch have the same effect? Will that punch affect Andy Ruiz the way it affected Luis Ortiz? Will that punch, because we already saw Fury, even though he caught one clean with a left hook after it, was still able to get up. And it was kind of miraculous that he got up, but he did get up. And so maybe at the elite level, the chins are a little better. We've never really seen Andy Ruiz hurt. Who knows? Maybe Andy Ruiz eats that right hand and keeps marching forward and goes after Deontay Wilder. I think that's a bad fight. I'll be honest, that Mexican style, man, that's not an easy style to deal with. That's not an easy style to deal with, especially when you got a tough, durable guy that's got fast hands and can move like Andy Ruiz Jr. And he's short. That's not easy to deal with. Trust me. That's just hard for a long guy who is not really a great boxer like Deontay Wilder. Calculated Risk says, Wilder would swing Andy out, in my opinion. Oh, and he's saying Casamero stopped to Tate. Okay, John Wick says, I don't know Wilder's chin would really get tested by Ruiz Jr., who I think hits harder than any heavyweight that Wilder has faced. And Ruiz Jr. will also be the fastest he faced so far. That's what I'm saying. Those are great points. And Calculated Risk says Wilder can be hurt 100%. We've seen Wilder hurt several times. King Dale Clark says, I think Ruiz is just a better boxer than AJ, but slimming down too much might cost Ruiz to me. I think the slimmer he is, the more Joshua punches will have an effect, especially the body shots. Well, look, one of my sources has told me that the way Andy Ruiz lost the weight for this upcoming fight was in an extremely healthy fashion, and that he expects, and this source is a in the fight game, he expects that Andy Ruiz has not lost any power or anything from this weight loss. And in fact, they're saying that he's going to weigh in at 260 pounds. I mean, that's just a little bit lighter. So I think more than anything, his body composition has changed. But as far as his weight, I mean, if he's coming in at 260 pounds, that's still heavy. That's still heavy, you know? So keep that in mind. I don't think this weight loss is going to hurt Ruiz as much as people think. In fact, I think it might help him, especially if it's made him faster than he already is. King Dale Clark says, I think some of the fat probably helps. I agree with that. John Wick says, exactly. Ruiz Jr. has a chance against Wilder, a good shot at that. I agree. And then the Jamaica Boxing, when he donated, says, AJ will be winning until he loses. Oh my goodness, Jamaican Sports TV. I don't like having to call you Jamaican Sports TV. I want you to go back to Jamaican Boxing. That's what John Wick's calling you. Calculated Risk says, but who's going to reach to that chin unless 6'6" fighter with good power? Well, Ruiz did it. Jamaican Sports TV says, my name changed because I now cover boxing, MMA, and porn. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The Thunderstorm MMA says, I take Andy. I believe he'll be the Cain Velasquez of the boxing world. Pound the cure. Calculated Risk says, Cain Velasquez was a bad man back in the day. He sure was, but unfortunately his career went the way of the dinosaur real fast. I don't know what the hell happened to Cain. I think maybe he just trains too hard and fucked his body up. John Wick says, I see Ruiz Jr. being explosive this time, and he will look to be in the pocket, let his hands fly in combos, and eventually knock him out. But if he goes to scorecards, Ruiz don't get a fair shake. I think you may be right about that. King Dale Clark says, yes, I can't recall any time other than that fight that Joshua gets caught rushing in. To be fair, he only fought two names, really, Vladimir and Ruiz. I mean, he fought some tough guys. He fought also Parker. He fought Takam. He fought Povetkin. You know, he fought some tough guys. I actually think Joshua's resume is very respectable considering how many fights he's had. Calculated Risk says, any possibility Wilder versus AJ in Wembley, if AJ wins, that would be awesome. But I don't think Wilder would concede that. I think they'd have to maybe go to Wilder unless the money was really right. Jamaican Sports TV says, did you see Dillian White's latest interview? He's funny as fuck. Hell yes. I did watch it, and I love that guy, man. I love the guy. The guy just wants to fight. How can you not like Dillian White? The guy just wants to fight. That's all he wants. He doesn't care about anything else. Thunderstorm MMA saying, when is the fight? Fighters Rep 9 Thunderstorm is on February 28th in Seal Beach, right near where you live. Not far from Long Beach, I believe is where you live, right? So it's near where you live. It's in Seal Beach. It's Friday night, February 28th. And it's going to be awesome. Calculated Risk says next week. Okay, maybe he was talking about the Joshua Ruiz fight, which is next week. John Wick says, your boy is fighting on the undercard. White is back. I saw that. I'm really excited. Justin Jr. 962 is saying, do you have a Google Hangout or anywhere we can join to speak boxing with you? Well, I mean, you can speak right here, Justin Jr. I appreciate that. And anything you say here, I'll read it out loud. And, you know, if at some point we want to get you on a phone call, we can do that as well. But hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. It'd be greatly appreciated. Calculated Risk says, I'm rocking with AJ also. My boy Calculated Risk. It's just me and you, brother, against the world, my man. Everybody's against us on this one. Muay Thai 23 says, as far back as I remember, I always wanted to be a hamster. Congratulations, Muay Thai 23, and I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't make that happen. Jamaican Sports TV says, I can also see Ruiz making easier work of AJ. So, Jamaican has him either winning late by stoppage or winning earlier. King Dale Clark says, you got that from Goodfellas, didn't you, Muay Thai? As far back as I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. King Dale Clark says, yeah, I got to give it to the UFC. They all fight each other. However, I think it's good to build a fight, the excitement. In UFC, they all fight, which is good too. Excuse me. Well, I mean, the UFC builds the fights too. And they actually happen in the UFC as opposed to boxing. So I appreciate the UFC very much. Thunderstorm MMA says, if John wants to fight me for my pro MMA debut, I doubt that. I doubt that. Calculator Risk says, Wilder and AJ have beefing story. That's why I like it. It will be on fire if they ever come across. That would be a lot of fun. I agree. Muay Thai 23 says, have Francis Ngannou and Rumble Johnson spit roast Henry Cejudo in the middle of a coctagon for the main event. Oh my goodness, Muay Thai 23. Muay Thai 23, go get the poison out and come back, brother. King Dale Clark says, yes, Andy Ruiz's speed and explosiveness, despite his size, defied physics. So deadly, accurate, and relentless. I think the guy is an absolute problem. And John Wick looks to be taking up the Thunderstorm MMA on his MMA fight challenge as long as he's got 2 months to train. So that's pretty funny. Calculator Risk is asking who else is picking AJ. Who else is picking AJ? I'd love to know if any of you are picking AJ besides me. John Wick says no pillow fight. What the fuck? I'm out. Oh my god. Let's see here. So Kingdale Clark says Wilder's an enigma. He looks so easy to beat, lacks skill, dare I say. He isn't the best boxer technically. He just have the brutal equalizer, and he has, to my knowledge, knocked down, if not knocked out, every opponent. You're absolutely right. He has. King Dale Clark says, were you a fan of the late, great Edwin Valero, and did you know he had part of his right ear bitten off by Ponce de Leon in a street fight? Holy shit. I didn't know that, and I'm assuming you mean Ponce de Leon, the fighter, and you're not trolling me. But yeah, I'm a fan. I was a fan of Edwin Valero. I thought he was a bad dude. I actually have a pretty solid connection to Venezuela too. You know, my mom's side of the family moved to Venezuela when they left their homeland and lived there for about a decade. So I mean, that's how they speak Spanish and stuff. In my family, at least my mom's side. So yeah, man, I was a big fan of Edwin Valero. He was a big deal in Venezuelan culture, and he was just a badass all around. And I think it sucks that he died. And you know, I didn't know that about the Ponce de Leon thing. Muay Thai 23 says, "Yo, wait, what the f? What? Deontay Wilder is black? I don't get that." Calculator Risk says, LOL, I like the underdog fighter. I don't know what you guys are talking about, right? I'm a little bit lost right now. Calculator Risk says, Edwin Valero was a great lightweight. Dude was a beast. It says, Edwin went to Panama, won the title against Vicente Mosquera. Thunderstorm MMA still trying to find a fight. You're hilarious, Richard. Let me tell you, man. You just want to fight, dude. I think that's so funny. Muay Thai 23 says, I'm picking the person that's not black. Oh, my God. Let's not get into that, please, guys. I've had so many psycho, racially charged, dumb comments on my videos lately. I just don't even want to deal with them anymore. Muay Thai 23 says, anyone want a link to an Irish BKB street fight where a dude gets his nose bit off and spits it at the camera? That sounds like what Haiku did. I don't know if you guys ever saw the story about Haiku or Ming from WWE, but they say he did that. King Dale Clark says, true, he showed crazy stamina in that fight Valero did. Hell yeah. Marco Martinez says, AJ not only wins, but makes it look easy. Rogan mentioned Joshua was KO'd in training and should have not fought the last fight. And that's what they say. They say that he was knocked out in sparring and that he was concussed and that's why he lost the fight. But you never know. You know, you never know what actually happened. And so we'll see, man. We'll see. I do think that there might be some truth to that Anthony Joshua was hurt, because he did look a little weird. Maybe he was nervous, but maybe he was hurt. That being said, I do think that Anthony Joshua was going to win that fight. Something just tells me Anthony Joshua is going to fight smart. He's going to adapt. He's going to fight long. And he's going to win that fight. Let's see here. King Dale Clark says, yes, Valero's right ear. You see it after the DeMarco fight. Apparently, Valero grew his hair to hide his messed up ear. Dude, he was clearly from the streets, as they say. Well, I mean, he looked like it. John Wick says, MMA Thunder can't make that, but summer 2020, I'm all in, brother, if you really are. King Dale Clark says, did you know anything about Edwin Valero's childhood and what it was like? There's a book coming out about him sometime this month, which will go into detail about it. Can't wait to get it. You know, I have a feeling it was a very rough upbringing. I did watch a documentary on him, but I forgot. I forgot what happened. You know, I forgot what happened. I do just remember him kicking everybody's ass in the documentary as far as being a fighter, but I don't remember the backstory that much. But I do remember it was pretty interesting, and I watched the whole thing. It's just been years since I watched it. Calculated Risk says, Habib Tony officially announced 18 April, Brooklyn, New York. Man, that's going to be fun. Let's hope it actually goes through because you know, 4 times already they've tried to make that fight, and it didn't happen. So let's see if it goes through. Muay Thai 23 says, yeah, bro, an Irish traveler fight. He bites his nose off in the clinch and spits it at the camera. It's on YouTube. Oh, my God. The Thunderstorm MMA says, John, I'm getting my hopes up. Calculator Risk says, I would buy his book, too. Oh, my goodness. Funny stuff. You guys are hilarious. So, if you're watching on the replay, please like, subscribe, comment, share this video. Let us know who you think is going to win the rematch next week in Saudi Arabia. It's the Clash on the Dunes. The most hilarious and corny name for a fight that I've ever heard. But nonetheless, Clash on the Dunes. It almost reminds me of a derogatory name that my friends in high school used to call me, but we'll leave it at that. But Clash on the Dunes. And hey, if they invited me to Saudi Arabia, I would go. But the kings over there haven't reached out to me yet. I'm sure at some point they will. My Arab brothers, if you guys are watching. أنا جاهز حتى أروح للسعودية وأعمل كيك بوكسينج ماتش مشانكم على راسي وبحب أروح للسعودية وأتعرف عليكم. But, you know, who knows if that'll ever happen or not. Jamaican Sports TV rather, says cheers to that. Cheers to you, brother. Much appreciated. You know, your generosity, as you can see from this, here it is, the event list, second to none. Second to none. I dare anybody to ever be as generous as Jamaican Sports TV. Just an absolute badass. Thank you so much, my brother. Appreciate it. Thunderstorm MMA says, John, you'd have to pick me up and take me home after we fight. Oh, my God. King Dale Clark says, would you say it's evident Valero was on drugs from his appearance and or body language? Because I wouldn't know what to look for, but he looked very alert. Well, I just think he looked rough. And my understanding of Venezuela is it's a very rough place, especially in the streets. Very, very rough. In fact, when I went to visit, because I have family there, we were not allowed to wear jewelry. Like, my family was just like, don't wear jewelry. Like, don't wear a watch. Don't wear nothing shiny. Because there's some barracudas out here, and they're going to chop your shit off if you wear something shiny. And man, a lot of sad shit happened. Let me tell you. I'll just leave it at that. But that was a rough place. Calculated Risk says, just going to keep them tiramisu and UFC wire away for the next 4 months. My head say Andy, My heart want AJ to win. That's what Calculated Risk says. Muay Thai 23. Not sure about that comment, Muay Thai 23. Let's just keep this boxing, my man. Whiskey Dragonfly says Dillian White is back without the B sample. How about that? Hey, don't talk trash about Dillian White, man. You know that's my boy, man. That's my boy. Let's see here. Whiskey Dragonfly. Oh, oops. Calculated Risk says, wow, your Arabic is great, man, George. Calculated Risk. How would you know if my Arabic was great or not? King Dale Clark says, excuse me, guys. By the way, this program that I use for this live broadcast, even though they screwed me right after the update because I wasn't ready, I tried going live. So it screwed up my live stream the first time. But once I got it nailed down and updated, this program has gotten much better. So good job to Streamlabs OBS. Big shout out. But let's see here. King Dale Clark says, what do you think is better for boxing conditioning? Circuit training or long distance running, or both play their part? I think both play their part. I've always been a fan of doing both when I was training and in shape. What I would do was, and I felt like this got me to the peak of my athleticism. I thought I was pretty athletic because I used to dunk a basketball, and I'm like 6'2", 6'3", I don't know. I'm not that tall. But I used to dunk a basketball by just standing underneath, palming the ball. I would just stand underneath, I would look up, and I would just jump. I wouldn't even drop step. I would just try to jump straight up and dunk. I was able to do it. And the way I was able to do it was I would lift weights. I mean, I could do it before I lifted weights because I was skinny in high school. But I would lift weights and I would run afterwards and play basketball. And I felt like a lot of people say weights are not good or whatever, but I actually felt the opposite. I felt like when I lifted weights and then I would go shoot, like, man, my shot, once I got used to it, I wouldn't miss. It was like mechanical. I would just make everything. And so, I don't know, I always felt like weights plus endurance training at the end was the best for me. Like, I would lift weights pretty hard, and then I would go run for 20 or 30 minutes or play basketball. And the days off, I would run for 30 or 45 minutes, just nonstop. And I felt like that was helpful. Or I would do like the elliptical or something just to get my cardio up, you know? And so I think both are important, man, because you got to be a little bit explosive, but you also have to have gas. If you run out of gas in a fight, you're helpless. And that's happened to me before. I've run out of gas in sparring a few times, and it was not cool, you guys. It was not cool. I got my ass handed to me when that happened. So let's see here. Muay Thai 23 says long distance running is the most important if you have to pick one. Calculated Risk is asking if Dillian is back. Yes, he's back. He's fighting Marius Walk. And Whiskey Dragonfly is saying Dillian's going to fight on AJ's undercard versus Martin Wash. No, I think it's Marius Walk. W-A-C-H, if I'm not mistaken. But a tough guy, very durable. I do think Dillian will beat him, but he's a very durable guy. Muay Thai 23 says South America is a legit horror hole, bro. I agree, man. It's a lot of South America. I mean, there are parts that are really nice, but a lot of South America can be very, very rough, right? If you're in the wrong place, you know. And that goes for anywhere, but South America is having some problems right now, especially Central America is having a lot of problems right now. There are a few exceptions, but I don't know. I feel like every time I turn on the news, everywhere looks pretty fucked up. So I don't know, man. I don't know. The world's a crazy place right now. King Dale Clark says, I see, dude. So imagine it's shady in Caracas. Probably airport, too. Seen many documentaries of drug smuggling over there. It's known as banged up abroad. I haven't seen that. But yeah, that's where I was, Caracas. And it's beautiful. That's the crazy part. It's like really nice. It's all mountains and then it goes into the ocean. It's a beautiful place. The food was awesome. The food was sick. And the people I did interact with were nice. But I saw some shady shit. And I remember when I went over there, I read the newspaper. And something, excuse me, and something that I remember seeing in the newspaper was that a guy looked at a guy the wrong way and was shot and killed. I remember reading that in the newspaper and be like, damn, and my family being like, look at this. You believe this shit? And I was just like, fuck, man. And the sad part, you guys, this is something I want to share with you. It's a little personal, but I want to share this with you guys. The sad part is my family, right, at least my mom's side, they left the Arab world, which was really rough. It was really rough. They were looking for economic opportunity. And when they went to Venezuela, it was amazing. Like, they told me it was beautiful. Like, it was to the point where when they decided to come to the United States, like, my mom, like, suffered. Like, she didn't want to come. Like, she was happy. She was happy in Venezuela, you know. And for it to turn into what it's turned into, you guys, it's just really sad, man. It's really sad. So I'm going to leave it at that. But it's really sad, and it bothers me, you know. And I've got this group that follows us on Instagram. By the way, if you guys don't follow us on Instagram, please do so at FightersRep, and on Twitter and everywhere else. But I've got this group that follows me on Instagram. It's just young fighters just trying to fight and train and do their thing. It's called Fight World Venezuela, I think it's what it's called. And I talk to the owner once in a while on Instagram. And man, it's just it's heartbreaking. You know, you see these people in dire straits, man, but they're looking for hope. You know, they're looking for something nice to do. You know, it's just like, it makes you realize how good you got it. It really does. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I wish all those people the best, man. Let me see here. King Dale Clark says, do you think a thicker neck helps punch resist in a debate which has been for some years? Some say yes, some say it doesn't matter. I think it just depends on the guy. I don't know if the thickness of the neck matters. I really don't. John Wick says, long distance running for sure. Muay Thai 23 says, it don't help if you stab him in the neck with a scalpel, bro. King Dale Clark says, yes, people seem to think if you lift weights, you'll automatically become muscle bound and won't be able to move. It takes ages to put on muscle mass. Weights definitely help. I've always been a fan of weights. I always thought weights helped. The Thunderstorm MMA says, yes, King Dale Clark, guys with big necks are harder to knock out. Calculated Risk says, what make Filipino boxer better than all other Asian boxers is they playing basketball and they learn the rhythm of it. John Wick says, have a great night, guys. If you on tomorrow, George, I'd be here, and I think White is in trouble. We'll see, brother. Have a great night, John. Appreciate you joining. Jamaican Sports TV says, you get cardio by running, not on a treadmill, but road work. Well, I mean, I think the treadmill works too, Jamaican. It worked for me. The Thunderstorm MMA says, you have to backhand slap big neck guys to hurt them. Oh, God. Muay Thai 23 says, bro, if you ever gas out in a fight, grab them by the schlong and rip it off and eat it in front of everyone, bro. Oh, my God. Muay Thai. Muay Thai. What's wrong with you today, bro? You're tripping out today, my man. John Wick says, it's no joke. They're crazier than Mexico, but really beautiful food is amazing. Calculated Risk says, King Dale Clark, possible, man. Thicker neck, better punch resistance. King Dale Clark says, Calculated Risk, yeah, dude. Tyson, of course, known for his thick neck by doing them bridges. I mean, if that's the case, wrestlers would never get knocked out. Muay Thai 23 says, you really want to find out how rough those countries are, go to the YNC. Damn, bro. I don't even know what that is. King Dale Clark says, what do Venezuelans look like, dude? Are they mixed? I've been Philippines, never Venezuela. I know different sides of the pond. The Venezuelans, you know, it's in South America, so they have, typically they have, you know, they're of Spanish descent, like most people in South America, or indigenous or African or a mix of the three. But in Venezuela, there were also a lot of people that were invited in by the president, you know, in many decades ago. So, I mean, they have like a German community. They have a large Arab population. Actually, all of South America has a large Arab population. One thing I was really surprised by was there's like 9 million Lebanese in Brazil, or people of Lebanese descent, or something like that. And there's not even that many Lebanese in Lebanon. So South America has a lot of like Arab influence that it's not even aware of a lot of the time because they just all assimilate. But yeah, Venezuelans, just they probably look like, I don't know if you've ever seen Colombians, maybe Brazilians, just like a mix. Um, and yeah, I mean they're very beautiful people too. They win a lot of the Miss Universe pageants. The women do. So that's what it is. Calculated Risk says, I wish to visit South America country one day, man, but I heard they have some serious economic issues right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of places. But anyway, Knuckleheads, we've been on here over an hour. I really appreciate you guys joining the chat. Thank you so much. Sorry we couldn't get Regis Progray on the show. Maybe we'll be able to do it next time. But I didn't hear back from him. I was expecting him to get on. But it's all good. We always got something to talk about, and hopefully we'll get him on the next show. Anyway, guys, appreciate you. We'll probably be on. Maybe we'll do Anxiety Sunday tomorrow. Same time, same place. But if not, again, we'll see you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please subscribe if you haven't. And until then, keep it clean, Knuckleheads.